Hello, my name is Allison Carmen, and welcome to my podcast, 10 Minutes to Less Suffering. And the name of today's podcast is The New Year 2023. Don't look too long before you leap. And I've been thinking a lot about the new year. Most of all, I don't want to let fear stop me in 2023. I want to be really clear about what I truly want, what's holding me back, and I want to find a way forward. And I bet you're feeling the same way. And recently I read this amazing quote that I think really sums up this whole idea of why we don't move forward, why we wait too long, and why uncertainty stops us, often from the things we truly desire. And this quote is by Vironika Tugaleva, and it goes like this. They say look before you leap, so look, but do not look for too long. Do not look into the void of uncertainty, trying to predict each and every possible outcome, to evaluate every possible mistake, to prevent each possible failure. Look for the opportunity to leap, and leap faster than your fear can grab you. Leap before you talk yourself out of it, before you convince yourself to set up a temporary camp that turns into a permanent delay on your journey into your own heart. And when she said, leap faster than your fear can grab you, this really resonated with me because that's the thing that grabs us back. Most of us know what we want our lives to look like in 2023 and how we want to feel. We know if we want to start a business. We know if we want to fall in love this coming year. We know what kind of job we want. But then we start to think about what it will take. We start to think about what if it doesn't work out. And then sometimes we start to overthink the risks. And we make uncertainty our enemy. And we overthink every outcome. And by the end of this internal conversation, the fear has grabbed us before we could leap, before we could move. What we often forget is that if we make a mistake, if we take a risk that doesn't work out, why do we think that our lives are ruined? Why do we think that things are bad? Why do we think we can't get back on course? I have learned in my life that every pain has wisdom. Every mistake has another path. And sometimes leaping, even if you land in a place you're not happy about, it's often fertile ground to do something new. Years ago, this beautiful woman, Hillary, worked for me. And one day she came to me and said, I'm moving back to the Caribbean where I grew up, where I was born. I can't take it anymore. New York City is too hard. I have debt from going to school and I just want to leave. And I remember thinking to myself, what are you doing, Hillary? You worked so hard. You didn't like the Caribbean. You left. Your new life is filled with opportunity. There's so much potential here. What are you going to do there? It didn't matter what I said. She just wanted to go back. She felt overwhelmed. She felt it was time. And I remember judging her thinking, wow, this is bad. This is a mistake. And it turns out she moved there. And after she lived there for a while, it didn't work out. But because she left New York and was living someplace else, even though it wasn't exactly what she wanted, it created a space within her to figure it out. It helped her find her way to move to Georgia. And when she moved there, she was able to create the life she wanted. She got her master's in teaching. Everything became more fulfilling. Life was easier for her there. And looking back, I honestly don't think she would have moved from New York to Georgia. I think it would have felt too hard. But it was the space of leaving for a while that helped her find her way. So she needed to make that break. She needed to leap without letting her fear catch her, without overthinking to find a new place to be. We think every time we leap, it's our last stop, but it rarely is. And I get it, because there are really hard moments when what we want looks so impossible. It looks so overwhelming. And we have every reason not to do it. We look at our bank accounts. We look at what we have that's stable. We look how uncertain what we want is. But what we often do is we spend too much time overthinking about all the things that could go wrong instead of overthinking about all the things that could go right. We have to remember that uncertainty is our best friend, because if we want our life to change, it has to happen in the unknown, because in the unknown is where our dreams reside. In 2023. That's where everything new exists, in the unknown. But if we only stay with what we know, and if we only stay with a sure thing, our life's going to look exactly like 2022. And maybe you had a great year and you want things to stay the same. And that's wonderful. But if you had a year filled with stress and disappointment and unhappiness, let's not bring that into 2023. Let's bring something new in. And that newness is allowing yourself to connect with your heart, connecting with what you truly want, and realizing that it's possible in the unknown. And if you fail and it doesn't go right, and if you suffer losses, remember you will survive the pain. And remember the sun will rise again. New opportunities and new possibilities. As long as you have breath, you have hope. And if you have hope, you have maybe. I know what it's like to lose important things. I know what it's like to be rejected. I know what it's like to fail, but I also know what it's like to be successful and to triumph, and to feel joy and to feel love. And all those things come with taking risks. They come with allowing yourself to dream really big, to be really honest about what you want in your life. Not what you think you could have, but what you truly desire. Because what you desire desires you. The thing that keeps you up at night, the thing that drives you mad, the thing that resides so deep in your heart that you want so badly. Hold that in 2023. Make a plan and take a risk. Don't overthink it. Of course, if we're starting a business, we need a business plan. And yes, if you want a new job, we have to make a resume and present ourselves in a certain way. But there's also going to be risks that we can't be afraid of. And again, we're afraid of risks because we're afraid that we can't have what we want. We're afraid that the unknown will never change. We're afraid if we take that risk, we will be left with nothing. And we will never be able to find our way again. But that's not true. Life always changes. And it's our job to keep up with the changes in 2023. We shouldn't sit too long in one place, especially when life is pulling us in another direction. We all know when doors are closing, and sometimes we're so scared to move, we let it close on us. And as the quote says, don't look into the void of uncertainty trying to predict it all. Because sometimes uncertainty has something for us that's so much bigger than we could even imagine. It's our choice how we are going to enter 2023. We can enter it with negativity and fear and bring disappointments of the past forward in a way that weakens us for the future. Or we could look at the past and say, maybe the future will be different. Maybe I could build on what I've learned, and maybe as the world changes, I could show up and do the best I can. And what a beautiful way to start the new year, to wake up on January 1st and say, I am not going to let the past bog me down. And to wake up on January 1st and look at the new year as an open playing field with hope and possibility, and show up on January 1st with a list of dreams and resolutions for 2023, and stand tall and look this new year in the eye and say, here I am. I am ready. I'm ready to let the fear not grab me. I'm ready to leap into this new year, to find the opportunities, to find the possibilities, to find what my heart desires, and to know that you have what it takes to be resilient and to be strong and to weather any storm, and to remember to leap before our fear grabs us. And before I end this podcast, I also want to thank all my listeners from around the world. I recently found out that my podcast is in the top 1% on Spotify of podcasts shared around the world. And it makes me realize once again that at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We all want to live with peace in our hearts. We all want to live with joy and health and happiness. And we all want to alleviate our suffering. And I pray and I hope that this podcast has helped you in some way over the past couple of years. And it continues to help you in the future. Because all of us have the potential to look into the unknown and see our ability to change, and see our ability for love, and see our ability to make our dreams come true. Because each day is filled with maybe and hope and miracles. And the truth is, for all we know in 2023, maybe the best is yet to come. Thank you for listening to this podcast today. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you could email me at allison@allisoncarmen.com. If you'd like to buy my books, The Gift of Maybe or Year Without Men, They're available at all major bookstores and online retailers. And if you like this podcast, you can subscribe and leave a comment.